Hi, my name is Captain Arun Pushkarna. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Vahana Offshore. I'd like to talk to you about training today. You probably heard the story about a CFO who goes up to the CEO and says, Sir, you've just sanctioned $500,000 for the training of these 6 people. What happens if we train them and they leave? The story goes, the CEO turns around and tells him, what happens if we don't train them and they stay? That pretty much sums up the situation of what happens and how organizations see training. Some who are financially oriented see it as an expense, but the other more enlightened people see training as an investment, as something which helps an organization to grow. Training, when properly imparted, allows people to build up their skills, to start occupying positions of greater responsibilities, and therefore making way for the others to come and join where they were sitting before. This brings in a dynamism within the company, it brings in a sense of mobility within the company, and makes people feel confidence that this company is growing and that their chances are going to be rising and they will be seeing better prospects as they go along. Such companies are inevitably more successful. Now, the training can be either a simple safety orientation training, which is given by most companies when people take on new jobs. It could be a skill-based training, it could be a competency-based training, or it could be a training which is a management type of training, which is a soft skill training. Now, all these trainings are normally best given on the job, and a good manager, a good mentor will probably be able to train the people under him. But sometimes it becomes necessary for training to be given in a more formal manner. And for this, there is a trainer and a trainee combination which is required. But we would have to accept the fact that today training has changed completely. In fact, the world has changed completely. If you look at the pandemic, that pandemic has changed the way we all operate. There is nothing which is, same as it used to be 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we could start to think of putting people in a room and training them and having a result at the end of the day and giving them an assessment and saying that you have been successful in this training and you have not. But today, that luxury no longer affords itself to us. Almost all the training which we are seeing today is virtual training, is long distance training, is simulator based training, is training where the trainer no longer sees the trainee. The trainee is in a different geographical area as compared to the trainer. And therefore, sometimes the method of passing on your skills from yourself to the trainee becomes very challenging. It's not just the fact that the technical content has been passed on to the trainer, but the trainer has to first master the platform on which he will give the training so that the trainee can absorb what is being given to him. And from a trainee's point of view, he is stuck in front of a desk looking at a screen which is at best a 13-inch screen or a 15-inch screen, which is normally a laptop, and through that he is trying to absorb all that the trainer is trying to give him, which is not necessarily the best way to try and train people, but it is inevitable and it has become almost the standard method, the default method, if you please, in today's world. For the training to continue the way it is continuing right now, the trainers have to upskill themselves and to upskill themselves very fast. We don't have the luxury to wait till such time that we learn how computers will function, we learn how a training can be imparted, we learn how people can interact back with us, etc. We don't have that luxury. We have to train people today. There is already a backlog of an entire generation which has spent maybe 2-3 years without any training because the budgets have been curtailed, and therefore the risk of these people having competency gaps or skill sets gaps is going to affect us, and we can kind of foresee what would be the worst consequence. The worst consequence could be incidents in the future, financial losses in the future, there could be accidents in the future because somebody did not give them the necessary training today. So training has to be given, and it has to be given fast. Whether it is given today, if we have the budgets, or whether it is given tomorrow is something which we can talk about. But the fact that it has to be given is something which is inevitable. We cannot afford to let this generation grow up to positions of management without getting the necessary input and skills, which is our obligation to give to them. So, if we assume that this kind of training is going to be given and that the right people who are going to be giving the training are the people who are the industry experts, the pundits if you please, the people who have the knowledge, skills and the backgrounds, then those people first need to upskill themselves and get their training skills to be on par with what the present environment demands. And this is something which has to be done on a priority basis. The trainees in turn have to be trained to start seeing the training coming to them through these platforms and to be able to concentrate and absorb this training. Now that training, whether it is successful or no, will depend on how fast we make this transition. Organizations which will not change will no longer matter. They will cease to exist. And therefore, the faster we upgrade, the faster we get online with this change, the better off will we be. It's well said that the only constant in life is change. Change is the only thing which never changes. Thank you. Bye.